What's up, Plebheads? This is Jdog for the Balding Plebs on YouTube. Let's have a very important discussion about Shadow of the Colossus. Now, this game is really touted as one of the greatest PS2 games of all time. And perhaps I can understand that based on its original 2004, 2005, I believe, release date. But if you're like me and you played this game for the first time in 2018, I think you may come away with it like I did, with kind of a feeling of a little bit of disappointment. And I think the game's, relevance when it was released originally, it just has been done so much better by other games over the last 13 or so years that playing it for the first time in 2018 definitely, probably I didn't appreciate it enough. And so I really definitely felt a little let down by it. And I think the important thing with this game, if you are like me and you have not played it before, and you're thinking to yourself, is this a game I should finally experience here? Is to understand that you're really not engaging in 16 fights. You're going to engage, the Colossi that you're going to fight. You fight 16 of them in the game. And it's not really 16 fights or 16 boss fights. It's 16 puzzles. And this is a subtle but very important difference. And I think it's one I didn't really understand at the time. And so I thought I was going to be in for 16 epic battles. And some of them are more combat focused than others, but many of them are platforming. They're triggering the bosses to use certain attacks so that you can perform some dexterous feat to get different, a different vantage point. And really what you're doing is attempting to get into a certain position on the bosses and attack them in certain spots. And so this definitely is different than what I think I expected. And there isn't a ton of story presented to you throughout the game. Really, the story does not get shown to you until you've beaten all 16 of the Colossi. So you need to really have this, this leap of faith, so to speak, that payoff is going to be worth it. And for me, it really wasn't. It was memorable, don't get me wrong, and it's probably an ending I'll always remember. But it certainly didn't have the payoff where I felt that my time and effort was really worth it, and I really felt like I had accomplished something. It kind of left a sour taste in my mouth at the end of the game, to be honest with you. So, I would say more than half of the boss battles definitely left me feeling relieved when I beat them, and not that sense of accomplishment that I truly want when I beat an epic boss. There were some great fights in this, don't get me wrong. There were some, maybe 3 to 4, that I truly enjoyed and thought were phenomenal. But there was a lot of them where I was just like, okay, let's do this 3-4 times. It's basically a one-trick pony type of thing on a lot of these bosses. Let's do it, and then you got to repeat it a couple times in different spots, basically. And that's it. They die. The little black tendrils come out of them and send you back to the start, and you do it over on the next boss. And that's really the entire gameplay, for the most part. So, yeah, a lot of the boss battles definitely left me feeling just a little bit like, oh, in 2018, this has been done a lot better, right? I can definitely appreciate what this game represented at the time it was created and what it represented as far as game design and environment design at the time it was created. I truly can. But I don't necessarily know if the gameplay truly holds up. Now, I was lucky enough to play the remake that was just released by Blue Point Games. And yes, this game is very beautiful. And the environment is astonishing, and it's incredible to look at. But just understand, it's just you in a wide open world, riding your horse, shooting a few little salamanders, and shooting a few little fruits off of trees, and finding some different shrines. That's it. That's it. So it feels kind of bare bones in a lot of ways. Now, I didn't mind it, and it certainly wasn't a bad game by any stretch. But for the incredible amount of praise this game receives, I don't necessarily know if it truly deserves it. Because it doesn't truly offer that awe-inspiring feeling and that sense of true accomplishment that I wish it did. So it left me feeling a bit hollow when I played through it, to be honest with you. And I will give it major points for the way that it creates a sense of atmosphere, and it really creates this kind of foreboding and lonely environment. And it truly holds to that vision throughout the game, maybe better than any other game I've ever seen. It's very melancholy. It's very restrained. It's very, artistic in that way. But just understand that that is the feeling that it will convey to you. And yes, it does hold true to its vision, as well as any game I've played. But the vision is certainly kind of disheartening. So you don't really get that sense of grand accomplishment that I do wish it provided. And each of the bosses don't necessarily provide it either. So, again, do I say Shadow of Colossus is a bad game? No, I don't say that. I say it's very different. And depending on other games you've played, maybe that have been influenced by it, and probably have improved upon it, and used some of the things in this game to create a more robust experience as game development has changed over the last 13 years, your mileage with the game will vary if you have not played it yet. There will be people, of course, that have it hold a very special spot in their heart, and I can understand that. In 2005, I think, where gaming was at that point and what we had seen by that point, yeah, I think there was something to be said for this to be that truly inspiring take on a certain type of game at that point. But if you haven't played it then, and you're trying to go back and play it now, it may leave you wanting, because it certainly left me wanting. I struggled to really connect with the characters. I liked the premise for the story, trying to save your girlfriend and lifting this curse or whatever. But so little was explained throughout the story that I really didn't feel motivated to continue it, other than the fact that it was like, well, another one down, another one down. It almost felt very monotonous. And I really struggled to connect in a lot of ways to the characters, and it should have been an easy story to connect to, because I think, it's certainly a noble thing that you'd want to save your beloved. That's not truly difficult to relate to. But I struggled with it. I really did. I thought some of the camera work and the controls and the control of Agro, the horse, and the different ways you had to control your character while you were hanging on to the bosses and while you were trying to line up arrow shots and different things were definitely difficult. More from a control standpoint and a camera standpoint than just from an overall difficulty rating. I never really died in the game during the fights. I had a huge health bar, a huge grip meter, so dying really wasn't an issue. But I certainly felt some of the fights bordering on tedium because it wasn't so much that I didn't know what to do, it was that I just couldn't get the character or the camera to line up correctly with what I wanted to do. So I was fighting, systems that really weren't working the way I wanted them to. Gameplay has changed over the last 13 years absolutely. But, to look back on it now, I kind of think, wow, this didn't really hold up, I guess, as well as I wanted it to, or I'd hoped it would. So, it is hard for me, to play the game here 13 years after its release, even on the remake, and really see what caused so many people to think this was just this incredible experience. I wasn't as moved by the ending as so many people seem to have been. I'm sure many of them were faking it and acting, but it really didn't move me. I will remember it for sure, but I wasn't really as moved by it as I wanted to be, because really that's kind of what you're playing for in this game. You're playing to get to the ending and to see what's going to happen. So it should be this moving, really resonant culmination of your efforts at the end. And for me, it just wasn't. Again, it just fell flat for me. And, I am disappointed that I have to say that. Because I certainly wanted to feel differently about it. But at the end of the day, I have to be honest. And I think Shadow of the Colossus presents a vision and holds to that vision, even though maybe the intended response is to create that sense of disappointment within the gamer. And if that's the case, then it definitely succeeded with me. So just understand what you're getting yourself into if you have not played this game and you are going into it for the first time here. You're really not getting into 16 epic fights. You're getting into 16 puzzles. And it's just different than what you may be expecting. At least it was for me. I'm glad I had the experience of playing it, but it's certainly not something I'd have to play again. So, I'd love to know what you guys think. I know I have a lot of subscribers on the channel here. A lot of you guys love this game. I'd love for you guys to come into the comments and just let me know what your thoughts are. What really made you love this game so much? Or if you're like me and you're kind of having the same thoughts I've had, or if you've played it and had the same thoughts I had, I'd like to know, if you've kind of felt this way too, or if I'm the only one. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. Again, I'm Jdog for the Balding Plebs on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you right here next time for more content like this. GG, ya plebs.